Sometimes in life, especially in relationships, we make one big mistake. We give too much, too fast, and too often. We call first, we text first. We try harder, we chase harder, and we keep proving our love over and over again. But when you keep doing all the work, you never really find out how someone truly feels about you. Let me tell you something important. When you stop chasing, the truth starts showing. If someone truly values you, your absence will create a space they feel. Your silence will make them think. Your distance will reveal whether they were holding on to you or just enjoying the attention you gave them. See, when you're always available, always fixing things, always reaching out, you're covering up the truth. You're filling the silence that should be revealing their intentions. But when you pull away just a little, you allow reality to step forward. If he cares, he'll notice. If he values you, he'll reach out. If he truly loves you, he'll step up. And if he doesn't, then you just learn something powerful without wasting years of your life. You see, your time is precious. Your heart is valuable. And your energy should never be spent convincing someone to see your worth. The right person doesn't need constant reminders. The right person feels your value the moment you walk into their life. Sometimes the strongest move you can make isn't chasing someone, it's stepping back and letting them show you who they really are. Pull away. Be quiet for a moment. Give them space to reveal their truth, because people always reveal their real emotions through their actions, not their words. Many people make the mistake of believing that love means constantly proving themselves to someone else. They believe that if they give more attention, more time, more messages, and more emotional effort, the other person will finally realize their value. So they keep showing up first. They send the first text every morning. They check in constantly. They try to fix every silence, every distance, every small problem in the relationship. What they do not realize is that by doing all of this, they are slowly removing the opportunity for the other person to show how they truly feel. When you are always the one reaching out, you are filling the space that should belong to the other person. You are answering questions that they have not even asked yet. You are solving problems that they have not tried to solve themselves. And because of that, you never really see the truth of their effort. You only see your own effort reflected back at you. Real emotions reveal themselves through action, not comfort. When someone genuinely values you, they do not sit quietly while you carry the entire relationship on your shoulders. They participate, they reach out, they make the effort to stay connected with you. But if you are constantly the one doing everything, you remove the test that shows whether they are willing to step up. This is why sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is something that feels very uncomfortable at first. You pull away, not to play games, not to punish anyone, but to create space for the truth to appear. When you stop chasing, when you stop filling every silence with another message, you finally give the other person the chance to show what place you truly hold in their life. Silence can be one of the most honest forms of communication. When the noise disappears, people reveal themselves through what they choose to do next. If someone truly cares about you, your absence will not go unnoticed. They will feel the difference. They will realize that something important is missing, and they will make the effort to reconnect with you. But if nothing happens, if the silence remains and no effort appears from the other side, then you have learned something extremely valuable. You have discovered the reality of the situation without needing arguments, explanations, or emotional battles the truth simply showed itself. Many people are afraid of this moment because they fear losing someone. They believe that if they stop trying so hard, the person might disappear from their life. But the truth is powerful. If someone disappears, the moment you stop carrying the entire relationship. They were never truly holding on to you in the first place. A relationship should never feel like a one-person job. Love should not require you to constantly chase someone just to keep their attention. Healthy connection happens when two people are willing to meet each other halfway. Both people invest time, care, and energy because they genuinely want to be there. Pulling away allows you to see whether that balance exists. It gives the other person a chance to step forward instead of always standing behind your effort. And sometimes that simple step back reveals more about a relationship than months of conversations ever could. You begin to see patterns more clearly. You begin to understand whether their words match their actions. You begin to recognize whether they are truly invested in you or simply comfortable receiving the attention you were giving. And when that truth becomes visible, it gives you something incredibly important: clarity. Clarity protects your heart. It protects your time. And it reminds you that your energy should never be spent trying to convince someone to see your worth. One of the hardest things for people to do in relationships is to step back and stop trying so hard to hold everything together. When you care about someone deeply, your natural instinct is to move closer, to give more attention, to fix every small crack before it turns into something bigger. You start believing that if you just show enough love, enough patience, and enough effort, the other person will eventually respond with the same energy. But sometimes the opposite happens. And the more you push forward, the more the other person relaxes into doing less because they know you will always be there to fill the gap. This is where many people lose their balance. They begin carrying the entire emotional weight of the relationship without even realizing it. They check in constantly. They make all the plans. They keep conversations alive when the other person barely responds. And slowly, without noticing it, they become the only engine moving the relationship forward. When this happens, the truth about the other person's feelings becomes hidden behind your constant effort. When you are always present, always available, and always solving the silence, the other person never has to ask themselves an important question: what does this relationship really mean to me? They never feel the space that makes them reflect. They never experience the absence that forces them to recognize your value. Everything continues comfortably because you are doing all the emotional work. Pulling away changes that dynamic completely. It introduces a moment of pause. When you step back, you stop controlling the flow of the relationship and you allow it to move naturally. This is the moment where real emotions begin to surface, not because you demanded answers, but because the situation itself reveals them. At first, pull, lean away can feel strange. You may find yourself wanting to send that message, make that call, or check in the way you always did. Your mind might start creating doubts, telling you that if you do not reach out, everything will fall apart. But sometimes what falls apart was only being held together by your effort alone. When you give someone space, you are not pushing them away forever. You are simply allowing them the opportunity to step towards you on their own. That step is important because it shows intention. When someone chooses to come closer without being pulled, it reveals that their feelings are genuine. If they notice your absence and reach out, it tells you something meaningful. It shows that your presence matters to them. It shows that they are willing to invest energy into maintaining the connection, but if the silence stretches on and nothing changes, then you are seeing a different kind of truth. This truth can be painful, but it is also incredibly freeing. It shows you that the connection may not have been as mutual as you believe. And while that realization can hurt, it also protects you from spending years in a one-sided relationship where your effort is never matched. Many people stay trapped in situations where they keep giving more and more, hoping that one day the other person will finally respond with the same level of care. But love should not feel like constant persuasion. It should not feel like you are convincing someone to see your importance. When someone truly values you, they naturally make space for you in their life. They think about you without being reminded. They reach out because they want to hear your voice. They make time for you because your presence matters to them. Stepping back allows you to observe whether those things happen naturally or only when you create them. It gives you the chance to see the difference between. Now, someone who enjoys your attention and someone who genuinely wants you in their life. And that difference can change everything about how you move forward. One of the most important lessons people learn in relationships is that effort should never flow in only one direction. When you truly care about someone, it is natural to want to give them your time, your attention, and your energy. You want to make them feel valued and appreciated. But there is a difference between showing love and losing yourself in the process of constantly trying to keep someone interested. Many people fall into a pattern where they start doing more and more just to maintain the connection. They send the long messages, they ask all the questions, they keep conversations alive, and they make excuses for the other person's lack of effort. They tell themselves that maybe the other person is just busy, maybe they are stressed, maybe they are not good at expressing emotions. So they continue giving more patience and more understanding, hoping that one day the effort will finally be returned. But when one person keeps giving while the other person keeps receiving, something important begins to disappear. Balance. A healthy relationship requires both people to participate. It requires both people to show that they care through their actions. Without that balance, the connection slowly turns into something exhausting instead of something supportive. This is why stepping back can become a powerful moment of truth. When you stop overcompensating for the other person's silence or distance, you allow the relationship to stand on its own. Without your constant effort holding everything together, the real structure of the connection becomes visible. At first, this moment can feel uncomfortable. Silence can feel heavy when you are used to filling every gap with your own words. You might start questioning yourself. You might wonder if you are doing the wrong thing by not reaching out like you always do. But the purpose of stepping back is not to create conflict. It is to create clarity. Clarity comes when you observe what happens next. If the other person notices the change and decides to move toward you, it shows that your presence has real value in their life. It shows that they are capable of recognizing when something important is missing and taking action to reconnect. That effort, even if it is simple, reveals genuine interest. On the other hand, if nothing changes, if days or even weeks pass without any effort from the other side, then you are witnessing a truth that was previously hidden behind your constant attention. The connection may have been supported mainly by your energy. This realization can be painful, but it also gives you a deeper understanding of your own worth. When you see that someone does not make the effort to maintain a relationship with you, it reminds you that you deserve more than one-sided commitment. You deserve someone who wants to talk to you, someone who looks forward to hearing from you, someone who naturally includes you in their life. Pulling away also teaches you something about emotional independence. When you stop relying on someone else's attention to feel secure, you begin to reconnect with your own strength. You realize that your value does not depend on how quickly someone replies to your messages or how often they reach out. Your worth is not measured by how much effort you can give to keep someone around. Your worth exists on its own. And the moment you understand that, you stop chasing validation from people who are not willing to invest in you. Instead of forcing connections, you begin allowing the right ones to grow naturally. The right person will not need constant reminders of your value. They will recognize it through your presence, your character, and the way you show up in the world. And when that kind of connection appears, effort will no longer feel like a burden. It will feel like something both people want to give freely. There comes a moment in many relationships when a person begins to feel emotionally tired, even if they cannot immediately explain why. On the surface, everything might seem normal. Conversations still happen, messages still get exchanged, and the connection appears to continue. But deep inside, something feels unbalanced. One person begins to notice that they are the one always starting the conversations, always asking how the other person is doing, always trying to keep the connection alive. Over time, that constant effort slowly drains emotional energy. The problem is not caring too much. Caring deeply is not a weakness. The real problem begins when someone feels like they must constantly prove their importance in another person's life. When love turns into a constant effort to remind someone that you are there, it stops feeling natural. Instead of feeling appreciated, you begin to feel like you are competing for attention that should come freely. This is where many people make a difficult but necessary decision. Instead of continuing to chase the connection, they step back. They stop forcing conversations that feel one-sided. They stop sending messages that receive short, distant replies. They stop trying to keep everything together on their own. This step back is not about anger or revenge. It is about giving the relationship space to reveal its true shape. When you are constantly present, the other person may not even realize how much effort you are putting in. Your attention becomes something they simply expect to be there. But when that attention suddenly becomes quieter, sometimes people do not realize how much effort you are putting into a relationship because your effort has become normal to them. When you are always the one checking in, always the one asking how their day went, always the one trying to keep the conversation alive, your presence starts to feel automatic in their life. They may enjoy it, they may appreciate it in some way, but they are not forced to think deeply about it because you are always there. This is how many one-sided relationships slowly form, not through a big moment or dramatic event, but through small patterns that repeat every day. One person gives attention, the other receives it. One person asks questions, the other answers briefly. One person makes time, the other simply fits the relationship into whatever time is left. At first, it may not seem like a problem. You tell yourself that everyone shows love differently. You believe that maybe the other person just needs time to open up or learn how to express themselves. Because you care about them, you become patient. You keep giving effort, hoping that eventually they will meet you at the same level. But after a while, something inside you begins to notice the imbalance. You start to wonder why the effort does not feel equal. You notice that if you do not send the message first, the conversation might never start. If you do not suggest meeting, the plan might never happen. Slowly, you begin to realize that the relationship only moves forward when you push it forward. This is where stepping back becomes important, not as a punishment and not as a way to manipulate the other person, but as a way to protect your own emotional energy. When you step back, you stop forcing the connection to move. You stop carrying all the responsibility for keeping the relationship alive. At first, that silence can feel uncomfortable. You may feel the urge to reach out again, just to make sure everything is still okay. Your men, they may start telling you that if you do not act, the relationship might disappear. But that moment of silence is exactly where the truth begins to show. When you stop filling every gap with your own effort, the other person finally has space to show what they are willing to do. They have the opportunity to reach out, to check in, to start the conversation, or to show that your presence matters to them. If they notice your absence and decide to step forward, it reveals something meaningful. It shows that they are aware of the connection and that they value it enough to make their own effort. Even a small gesture can say a lot because it shows that they are thinking about you without needing constant reminders. But sometimes the opposite happens. Sometimes the silence continues. Days go by and the other person does not reach out or show concern about the distance. That moment can feel disappointing, but it also brings clarity. It shows that the relationship may have been depending mainly on your willingness to keep it alive. This clarity, while painful at first, is also freeing. It removes the confusion that often keeps people stuck in uncertain situations. Instead of constantly wondering how the other person feels, you begin to understand their level of investment through their actions. Real emotions always appear through consistent behavior. Words can be kind and comforting, but actions reveal priorities. When someone truly values your presence in their life, they do not allow long silence to replace connection. They naturally look for ways to stay close to you. Stepping back simply allows you to observe whether that natural effort exists. And once you see the truth clearly, you gain the power to decide what kind of relationships deserve your time, your attention, and your heart.